Is Judge Dredd really that bad? We're going to find out. Come with us on this journey. Watched it as a kid, 1996, probably on video, and I remember loving it. I do remember really enjoying this movie. This was everything I loved, like, about movies as a teenager. It was big guns, it was dystopian wastelands, it was a cyberpunk city. So I thought this was great. And then I do remember not being, because I read 2000 AD as a kid. They were my brothers. But I remember knowing that Judge Dredd kept his helmet on, and I never really had a problem with him taking his helmet off in this. And so I wanted to watch it. And, you know, because I remember in 2000 AD there was like the editor of 2000 AD kept updates, because this was pre-internet, of this movie being made and Sly Stallone being in it. And it really generated a lot of interest, you know, from 2000 AD readers, because they were really pro it. They were like, this is going to be good. The original artists or creators are involved. But yeah, I wanted to see it again.
The rights were optioned in 1983, and a film might have happened sooner had RoboCop not stolen Dredd's thunder in 1987 with its dystopian future, fascist subtext, and central character who is basically a cyborg Dredd. Paul Verhoeven allegedly gave the RoboCop writers copies of Judge Dredd to study, while in his review of the movie, science fiction writer Harlan Ellison wrote, "It's so clearly and shockingly a rip-off of the Judge Dredd comic strip."
I mean, I certainly think the Detroit of RoboCop and the universe and the extreme violence of the gangs and the poverty versus the wealth in that Detroit is very much a mega city. So I think it's the environment. I don't think the character's the same, but I certainly think the world that he's built is very, very Judge Dredd.
A movie was eventually developed through Andy Vanya's production company Synergy. Rennie Harlin and Richard Donner were apparently in talks to direct, but 26-year-old Brit Danny Cannon, who just had a minor hit with The Young Americans, ultimately landed the gig. I believe he's our most successful director.
Yeah.
Even more so than Christopher Nolan, because he helped create the CSI franchise, which is up to 797 episodes. It screens in 200 territories to an audience of 2 billion people. He makes a lot of money off the back of CSI.
And wasn't he involved with, was it Gotham or Pennyworth?
Both. Yeah, he does Gotham and Pennyworth, but they're not on the same level as the CSI franchise.
No, he's a big TV guy.
Arnie was thought to be playing the title role until Stallone ultimately donned the mask for a bit.
I wonder if that's true, because, you know, Arnie basically used to do that thing where he expressed interest in roles, because they were very competitive. He expressed interest in roles that he was never going to do and put it out there, and then Sly thought he was getting in and usurping Arnie, but Arnie never really wanted them. Stop or My Mum Will Shoot is a movie that Arnie said he was going to do and really wanted to do, and then Sly thought he'd nabbed it, only to find out it was a crock of shit. The Arnie movie supposedly was going to, I remember reading that Tony Scott might have directed it, and it was going to be Judge Death as the villain, the interdimensional judge who believes that life itself is a crime.
Okay.
I feel like...
Big learning curve for you, isn't it, today?
That sounds awesome.
I feel Stallone at the time called it an extremely serious drama that has a lot of poignancy. He said he wanted to make a picture like this since seeing Blade Runner, and spoke of his plans to make more Judge Dredd movies, stating that he couldn't wait to get stuck into the 25 years of comic stories. Cut to 20 years later, and Stallone's tone has changed somewhat regarding the movie. The famous quote he gave was that he said, "I knew we were in for a long shoot when, for no explainable reason, Danny Cannon, who's rather diminutive, jumped down from his director's chair and yelled to everyone within earshot, 'Fear me! Everyone should fear me!' Then jumped back up to his chair as if nothing had happened."
Which is how Chris starts every show.
I did that halfway through our first record, but it didn't seem to have any effect on you.
I mean, you got to believe that's true. I believe that's true, because it's just such a weird thing to make up. And it's like, the fact that he gets back into his chair as if nothing has happened makes you think that people just sort of shrugged and he'd expected something to happen, which is worse than going, "Fear me! Everyone should fear me!" Nothing? No one? Nothing? All right, I'll be over here.
And another dig at Cannon, Stallone said, "I believe objects rot from the head down. Draw your own conclusions." So we see Mega City. It looks pretty cool.
It looks all right, doesn't it?
The skyscrapers are taller than the Statue of Liberty, which gives you a sense of the size and scale of the thing.
Which has been moved, hasn't it? They say that it's been moved, yeah.
So they fly into the middle of a riot, and then Dredd rides through fire in his Versace-designed uniform. There's lots of tight spandex and cod pieces in this film, none of which feels particularly like Judge Dredd. Did you like the costume?
I did, I have to be honest. The minute I saw Versace, I was like, "Oh, get you fancy pants." But
literally. literally.
Yeah,
fancy
you've got a
pants.
fancy breastplate. Yeah, I like it. I like the allusion to. I like a more sort of a gaudy uniform rather than something grimy. I think it looks camp and fun, and that's good. That my issue with the film is when it undercuts all that with this sort of cod seriousness. But when it's really sort of kitsch, and
You want cod peace, not cod serious.
I do. Yeah.
It is. I actually really like the way the costumes look as well.
Yeah.
But it's this heightened kitsch camp reality. Whereas you look at Dredd, which we're obviously going to compare this to at some point, and that works because that's body armor and it's grimy and it's dirty.
Yeah.
Like it would be in Mega City 1.
Yeah.
And it protects them as well. This is like
Spandex isn't going to do anything, is it?
unless you shoot me in the shoulder, I'm fucked. This whole sequence, this block war that we're walking into, this feels good. This is like, people out of work, boredom. Like so many people in Mega City are unemployed that their block wars are
Great
taking
actor
place.
leading it, James Moran.
I know.
Big fans of him.
Weird to see him there, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I forgot he was in it. I think he was even uncredited
He
or
is
something.
uncredited, but he's
Yeah.
in it for ages.
Yeah, and he's really good.
he is.
So, yeah, Dredd gets his gun out and uses rapid fire, then uses armor piercing, then his double whammy, and he sentences Warlord to death, shoots him in the face, and then says, "Court's adjourned."
I just think, in terms of, I'm no lawyer or barrister, come to that, but court's adjourned is like when they're having a break, isn't it? It's not like the end of court. Like there must be another cool thing, like when the gavel's fallen or whatever, that you could have ripped off or lifted from the court system. Because court's adjourned to me makes me think, oh, it's a toilet break. No?
It didn't occur to me, but
Is that right? Do they not, when after they pass sentence, do they not
Unbelievably,
adjourn
I haven't
court?
been through the British judicial system.
Bollocks.
That's a lie. Yeah, I've been to court, but magistrates is really different.
It was common law, wasn't it?
all right, then we get a bit of plot.
I honestly didn't realise it was weed. I just...
Then Judge Dredd removes his helmet 15 minutes in. So you've said, Alex, you're not really bothered?
I wasn't when I first saw it. Having watched Dredd, it works a lot better that he doesn't for the character. I think it's a very strange decision, knowing that Judge Dredd never takes his helmet off in this movie, to go, right, we are taking the helmet off, and then to make it such a sequence, like slow motion helmet coming off, and like it's a big moment, and it's like it's a sticky plaster thing. Bang, he's taken it off. Move on.
Or use it
Don't
as a-
linger on it.
As a plot device. He takes it because he has to.
I mean, you've really got to give him a reason to take it off. And then you could almost forgive it. It's mad that it's just...
But imagine if you were a cinema goer and you didn't know Dredd and you love Sylvester Stallone. So you're going to see it for that. So that's why he's a big star, you've got to see his face. But even if you were a Sylvester Stallone fan and you didn't know anything about Dredd and you didn't know about the helmet, what you're watching is your star's face, but for a really, really long time. So it looks like a massive ego trip, which is not helpful either.
So Dredd heads to Aspen on Conair with Fergie, which made me want to be watching Conair rather than this film.
A little bit, yeah.
And this is the point. If I'm gonna pick a point where things start to go off the rails in this movie, it's now.
Too much plot.
It's
weirdly.
totally too much plot. Also, you've built Mega City 1. It looks freaking great. Stay in Mega City 1. I don't need to see you going out to the penal colony. I don't need to see you in the wastelands.
It's what Dredd did so well that this film doesn't do well, is they picked one very tight, simple plot and went with it for 90 minutes, whereas here they've taken a lot of really cracking comic book storylines and smushed them all together, and it's just too much.
Yeah.
Because Spud from Trainspotting shoots Conair down. Was not expecting that.
Forgotten he was in it.
Dredd and Fergie are taken prisoner by the Angel gang of cannibal scavengers. Again, important in the comics.
Did you notice that Sylvester Stallone, who is a rock of a man, they're hanging from their wrists and his hands are purple and he's really suffering and they've been up there for ages and it's like, this is torture, this is testing even you. And Rob Schneider looks absolutely fine and he's like, am I dead? And it's like, why are you fine? But Sylvester Stallone is not fine.
Because he's got less weight pulling him down. That's why his hands aren't purple.
Well, he's stood on a chair and he's forgotten to act.
There is a clip behind the scenes of Rob Schneider falling down a flight of stairs onto his face.
Oh.
You're a lot of fun to be with, Dredd! Oh, God.
Makes no sense. What does make sense, kind of, is a bike chase in the air above the streets that looks kind of cool. The problem with this bike chase, though, is that this doesn't feel like there's any stakes. So I don't feel emotionally involved at any point in this. And so this is the big action set piece in the movie. And I don't care when I'm watching it.
Yeah, and it's also got a lot of Rob Schneider ad-libs. Leave him alone. And there's one where he's in the locker room and he goes, why are you taking his clothes off? We don't have time for this.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, fine. And then when he's on the bike and he's a bit scared, he goes, you may want to wash this seat after we get off the bike. And you're like, this is low-hanging fruit you're going for, like poo and gay jokes.
I'm alive! I'm alive! Oh, so are you.
Like, you know, I have a fondness for a shouty man, New Yorker. Make Rico and Dredd identical twins and let Armand Asante play them both. I mean that.
It's good. I mean, we love him. I love him. Don't know that he was going to sell a movie.
But then you would have seen it and been like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. And it would have been fine.
I'm wondering how the creators of Judge Dredd would feel about that performance.
But it would be better, though, wouldn't it, than what we've got? Like, I don't hate Sylvester Stallone at all. Like, you know, but the only good Sly moment for me, when he's hanging off the Statue of Liberty and he looks at his brother and he says, don't miss. And it's like, that's fucking amazing. Like, your voice is perfect there. The rest of the time, when he's like, oh, I had a friend, but then I judged him. It's like, me. I don't care. I just don't. And I'm Armand Asante just blows everything else away. Like, I think it's his film and I think he should do it twice.
You want chaos? I'm the chaos. You want a new beginning? Here. I am the new beginning.
I actually really like the clones in the lab. So with the, you know, the stringy bodies, and Rico's gone like full Dr. Frankenstein, and then the screaming chews at him. It's just my favourite bit. Thought it was hilarious. And then also when Ilsa kicks Hershey in the fanny, that's quite funny as well.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah. It would hurt like fuck.
So they head to the Statue of Liberty because that's where Rico's base is, I think. We're told that Dredd destroyed his life to embrace the law, whereas Rico destroyed the law to embrace life.
I love that. I think that's brilliant.
I think it sounds cleverer than it is. But Rico does ask if Dredd just wants brainwashed judges or free-thinking humans, which is an interesting question that does get asked over and over again in the comics. But they try to examine and answer it in the comics. Here it's just chucked away.
Yeah.
And then Rico says the word law for about 30 seconds.
Law! Law!
You know, I never understood that. Why did you judge me? Why did you judge me?
You killed innocent people.
The means to an end.
You started a massacre.
I caused the revolution.
You betrayed the law.
Law!
Betray the law.
Law!
The law.
Law!
Betray the
Law!
I should have put you down myself.
Law!
You betray the law.
Law! I betrayed this!
The clones appear, and yeah, they might be a good idea, but again, nothing is done with them. There was a scene that was deleted in which a clone squares off with Judge Dredd and then says the word pain to him, and Dredd blows him away to put him out of his misery, which would have injected something, you know, some emotional stakes into proceedings maybe, but apparently that was cut because the clones looked all right in the room, but on camera they looked like a person in a rubber suit.
Yeah, in an attempt to get a PG-13 rating, the clones were quite disgusting. They like had pus on them and stuff. They were like pretty grotty, and so they took them out. But again, this whole ending just feels torn to shreds.
Well, the women fight each other. And
Bitch,
it's a
judge, bitch.
They have a proper fight, though. I think their fight's much better than the blokes fighting here. And then the place starts exploding, though it isn't clear why.
Yep.
There's no reason for it to start blowing up.
I didn't think of that.
And then they have a punch up atop the Statue of Liberty, and Judge Dredd throws Rico off while saying, "Court's adjourned."
Yeah.
Tea break.
See you in 10 minutes.